Heyo everybody, Haku here with my read-through for the second half of Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, a magical girl raising project, JOKERS Chapter 5, Poker Game. So I really loved the first half of this a lot. I feel like the last two chapters have been really good, but in general this arc is almost maybe up there with Unmarked. This arc is really up there in terms of being a good arc for me already. I think the story is really good. It's different from the first two. I prefer the way the first two was told, where the characters were hyper-developed and their stories were kind of in the forefront, where this has been more about the overall plot than the characters as individuals. I don't know. I kind of like that old style more, but this has still been very good. So where it's ending right now, we had the sadness of sort of the characters just surviving wave after wave, onslaught after onslaught of the shuffling, and after all of that, they're finally starting a counterattack. So I'm interested to see where it'll go. I feel like a lot of the good guy characters are probably still going to die, but we'll see what happens. I'm not going to make death predictions or anything like that again. I don't think... Oh yeah, Quake died. I was going to say I didn't think anybody died in the last read-through, but Quake did. So we're down to 8 characters left. I don't actually know. I think it might be 10 characters left. 8 good guys, because 7 are together. Then the one apart is Tempest, and then of course the 2 bad guy characters. So we have all of them going on. I'm interested to see where everything goes with all of them. So yeah, we have Chapter 5 Poker Game. We're starting at the end of page 16, beginning of page 17 with Princess Inferno, and then going through to the end. So either way, their counterattack includes them seemingly, it looks like they're going to flood out the main room so that Shufflin and Grim Heart would have to run out the other side, and they're possibly leaving an ambush on the other side, but we'll have to see. I think that'd be probably the smartest plan they could go for. But we have Princess Inferno now. The ice wall split, its accumulated water flowing out all at once. Several bodies of Heart Shufflin were caught in the floods. The Ace of Spades kept enduring. However, having the Ace endure the waters was part of their calculations. Deluge activated luxury mode and placed her trident in the water. All the Shufflin that endured the floods inside the water were frozen. Ah, that's genius. So yeah, even if they aren't swept away, they get frozen. She jumped over the Shufflin, half turning in the air, and ran on the ceiling before kicking off, doing another half turn to land on the floor, all while not killing her own momentum. She ran faster than the flood. Okay. Stunt Chica threw knives at the Shufflin, while Inferno took care of the rest with her sword. She had a bad feeling when doing that. She didn't want to do it a second time, but kept slashing away. But now's not the time to feel worry. She swallowed a piece of fruit stuck in her mouth. It passed through her throat, and when it reached her stomach, she could feel heat radiating to all of her body. Right now, things were going according to plan. First, they would build a dam of all the water in the training room. The gathered up water would be frozen and consolidated by deluge. They'd block the bulkhead leading to the desert room. Then they'd freeze the briefing room's bulkhead as well, with even more water. When the bulkhead doors opened, Inferno dissolved the frozen ice and released a flood of water to the hallways. Deluge immediately froze that water to stop the Shufflin's movement, and Deluge, Styler Mimi, and Marika would beat up the remaining Shufflin. Snow White, Stunt Chica, and Inferno would not be dealing with the Shufflin. They'd be running toward the briefing room. If someone in the briefing room knows the password, Snow White would steal it and they'd retreat. Ah, that's really smart. Snow White had told her that she's stolen passwords before by hearing the voices of the person's heart, once. Wow, I can't believe you've actually done something bad, Koyuki, Inferno had said to her, to which Snow White just smiled shyly. Man, Snow White, such development over the course of all these volumes. If Snow White couldn't hear anyone's hearts who knew the password, or if only Grim Heart knew the password, then Snow White and Stunt Chica would earn Inferno time to look at the history and check the current password. Passwords are to protect yourself from outside invaders anyway. It shouldn't be hard to change passwords from the briefing room controls. She quickly turned the L-shaped corner without stopping. There were no Shufflins until they reached the briefing room. Snow White took out a fallen tree from her bag. It was a cedar tree from the forest area, chopped up to a reasonable length. It was about the height of Inferno's chest, meaning it was just the height of the door panels. Snow White pushed the panel when the bulkhead began to move. She placed the tree on the panel. This means that even if they remove their hands from the panel, no matter where they are, this bulkhead will not close so long as the tree's pressing on it. The bulkhead opened. Inferno saw the briefing room. It was the same as always, but for the first time, Inferno felt nostalgia. She saw a group of diamond shuffling in a circle. Grimheart was placing something inside her bag. There were equipment and bookshelves all over the room, and that something's probably Tempest. And scattered around the floor like trash were bags of sweets. Snow White muttered out, "Let's go." She wasn't able to pick up the password with her powers. Now it was Inferno's turn to do the job. She roared out as she swung her crescent sword, purposefully swinging with large strokes. What would the enemy do now? The diamond shufflin rolled over each other and ran away. Inferno jumped off the tables and stood in front of the monitor. The only one who knew how to best operate it was Prism Cherry. She's been saying every day that she wanted to be at least a little useful. She'd sit every day in front of the monitor with the instruction monitor, and she was more proficient with it than anyone else. But she's no longer here anymore. She's remembering these things made Inferno grit her teeth. Prism Cherry wasn't going to come back in this disaster. Now there were more important things to do. She turned off the cameras in the monitors. Since she was using it now, she'd been blocked from access, naturally. Inferno turned on administrator mode, then checked the history. While she was searching for the password-related items by scrolling the history, she felt heat in her back, and that heat turned to pain. She moved her tail upward. She felt something touch her tail. Blood was coming down from her torso, splattering across the briefing room. Stunt Chica was blown away, flying horizontally across the ground and crashing into the wall, her entire body shivering. Grimheart tried to chase after her, but Snow White stood in front of her, a swinging ruler at Grimheart's shoulder, but not affecting anything. As Grimheart ran off, one of the shufflins stood her ground. "Snow White'll be fine. She's here to buy Inferno time." Inferno placed a hand on her back. Her wound was deep. She couldn't stop the flow of blood. Oh, but she's going to think about the password before she dies so that Snow White can hear it, isn't she? Man, I really didn't want Inferno to die. She couldn't stop the flow of blood. Something crawled out under the table. It was a shufflin. It was neither a heart, spade, club, nor diamond. A clown with a cruel smile was drawn on her costume. She was holding a gigantic scythe. With a smile on her face, just like the clown on her costume, the shufflin swung down the scythe. Inferno tried to stop it with her sword, but she couldn't. She had no power left, so she could only stop with her arm as it was slashed, causing more blood to splatter. Her head became cloudy, and something caught the corner of her eye. Piles of bodies were there. 3 of them were women. She recognized one of them. The first time she met her, she had the impression of an unrefreshing college student. She was lying headless and face down. It was like she was an object, like a piece of trash piled up in the corner of the room. She shouted out from the back of her throat, her dumbfounded mind becoming clear at last. She was finally able to get a good look at the enemy standing next to her. This shufflin was smiling, an expression that other shufflins did not possess. Her smile was burned into her retina. "It's you." She unconsciously activated luxury mode, the pain on her back instantly disappearing. White noise disappeared. The scenery disappeared as well. She was thinking the same thoughts inside. The sense of repulsion she had towards a killer. She wanted to kill her. She will kill her. When the scythe was about to be swung down again, Inferno stepped back with her right foot, not to dodge it, but to kill her, to avenge Quake. She can't let it end this way. While holding her sword with her right hand, she also added her left hand to the grip. She's trained multiple times doing this. Back then she hated training, but still followed instructions. It's because she wanted to continue being a magical girl, because she wanted everyone to continue being a magical girl. Even if they became as old as grandmas, she still wanted to see Quake smile as they did magical girl things together. Now she realized what the training's for. It was so that she could kill. The scythe that was swung down became slow. It was like a slow-motion movie, the way the sound of it moved. She didn't even care about those things anymore. Inferno thrust her crescent sword. This was the best strike she's made in her short magical girl life. This thrust wouldn't be able to be avoided. Not by disruptors, not by Marika Fukuroi, not by the Ace of Spades. The scythe and sword intersected, then passed by each other. When Inferno had almost stabbed the enemy in the chest, Grimheart blew away Inferno from the side. "Fool, never let your guard down." The slow motion ended. She could hear the sound of the shuffling crying, Grimheart shouting out, "I told you not to kill the experiments." Stunt Chica was leaning against the wall. She probably couldn't move. When some shuffling approached Stunt Chica, she blew flame in their direction. Snow White picked up Inferno and jumped toward the bulkhead. Alright. Then broke the cedar tree holding the panel down. The bulkhead closed. Grimheart tried to chase them while swearing. Inferno saw the whole situation but couldn't process it that well. She had no more power. She couldn't think anymore. Stunt Chica moved. She took out grenades from her sleeves, then pulled the pins. Grimheart panically turned around. Snow White kept running without looking back. Alright. A flash, an explosion, an impact. The crescent sword was being held by Snow White. That was the only thing Inferno could understand. The explosion was getting closer and closer. Inferno could feel the wounds on her back heating up. She could still speak. However, she didn't know for how long. "Hey, Koyuki." "Akari, don't push yourself. You told me that you were the magical girl hunter, right, Koyuki?" Marika Fukuroi had told her that. Snow White hunts rogue magical girls. While Snow White was holding on to her, Inferno looked at her face. Snow White had elegant eyelashes. "So you have to. They have to. They killed Prism Cherry and Quake. They weren't able to get the password. They came out empty-handed, Snow White carrying Inferno. Inferno couldn't even run herself. Inferno wanted to run all the time. That's what she wished for, but she couldn't even do that. She was being carried instead. She wasn't reliable to Quake or Prism Cherry, and as for her consciousness, she was still holding on to it. You need to get them. Go after them. You're the magical girl hunter, so..." Her words disappeared. Noises disappeared. The scenery disappeared. She couldn't feel Snow White's body temperature. Inferno was disappearing herself. She had spared the last of her spirit to tell Snow White. Man, that was the saddest death so far. That was really, really good. Man, that was depressing. I really didn't want Inferno to die. Jeez, and this just keeps getting sadder because she wasn't able to take out the Joker. But now we're jumping to Grimheart's perspective. Page 22. Grimheart was furious. She kicked down the Ace of Hearts, beat her down, then punched her repeatedly in the face before finally throwing her towards the wall. She didn't particularly care about her, but she still had her reasoning. Yet, when self-assessing herself, despite her reasoning, it was just putting oil on her anger. She wanted to break down everything. She was just barely able to protect Joker from Stunt Chica's suicide attack. I think they meant Inferno's suicide attack. It really was barely. If she was just a bit late, she wouldn't have been able to cover Joker's entire body, which would have... from the suicide attack from Stunt Chica is right. So I guess Stunt Chica probably got pulled back through the crystal ball by Pithy then. She's probably still alive. If she was just a bit late, she wouldn't have been able to cover Joker's entire body, which would have caused Joker to suffer great injuries or die when caught in the explosion. Why did she even have to protect her? Making Grimheart move like that was a humiliation equal to defeat. Grimheart didn't come here to fight barbarians. She stood above them. She had no need to do anything, or she shouldn't have to. She sighed out. Grimheart was angry. No one was allowed to hurt Grimheart's pride. She couldn't afford to abandon that. Someone had tried to stab her in the throat. Then Grimheart tried to chase away that someone halfway. Barbarians, the lowest kind of civilian, an inferior race, the bottom of the food chain. Grimheart was disgusted with people like that. She pulled out something from inside the bag, the wind body. She knew now how the enemy would attack. She knew what the enemy was trying to steal, and she was bored with always losing battles. So, she was going to take the best action. What was the best? Anger. Off with her head. Joker held her large scythe for a moment. The wind body was shedding tears, bowing down many times. Was she trying to apologize? It doesn't matter now. Her head rolled on the floor, and Grimheart finally cooled down when she saw all of the eliminated shuffling come back. While she wasn't feeling particularly bright, she was feeling a little better. Are you sure that was wise? We have no more experimental bodies. If we lack shufflings, we'll have problems with our battle plans. We have no choice. I see. The experimental body that Joker wounded was carried away by Snow White. She had dealt her a fatal injury, no way to endure it. meaning there was only one body left. However, they didn't have any sacrifices for restocking. If Stunt Chica hadn't been so foolish as to blow herself up, this wouldn't be a problem. However, she can't spend her time worrying. She had to be successful next time. Alright, now on to page 24. Let me grab some water really quick. Alright, on to page 24. Inferno had been killed. The only thing remaining was her crescent sword, meaning only something that could be used to make mist. Alright, that should be enough. It was good enough so that the enemy couldn't monitor and attack them. Deluge hasn't moved since she saw the high school girl's body. No one spoke to her. Perhaps they didn't have the energy to speak to her. At least Filaru didn't have the energy to. Filaru was just silently in pain. Just moving will cause her pain. Though licking Marika's fruit caused it to disappear, it would just as quickly come back. Stunt Chica self-destructed and Inferno was killed. Yet, despite those sacrifices, they still couldn't get the password. They still couldn't open the entrance and go outside. They were just packed back into the water area, not changing a thing. Well, they did. Inferno and Stunt Chica are gone now, so the situation is worse than before. While Snow White was in the briefing room, she read the Joker Shufflin's mind. According to her, if the Joker was killed, the other Shufflins will die as well. However, excluding the time at the room, the Joker Shufflin never shows her face. Though, thanks to reading Joker's mind, Snow White was able to figure out Grimheart's magical skill. Grimheart can select who she wants to interact with. So, for talking and stuff, talking, fighting, Grimheart decides who she'll be able to interact with. That's why my powers had no effect. She didn't allow it, and if she doesn't allow it, nothing can happen to her. Explosions, punches, slashes, not even magic can affect her. That's far too powerful, Pone. Not even Keek could bring her to the cyber world. Even if she did, she'd still be able to beat up Keek in her own world. Fall glitched out in his stereoscopic image. Stellar Mimi's facial expressions began to dampen, so there's nothing we can do. We don't know how strong the Joker Shufflin's actual strength is, though. Like, is she as strong as the Ace of Spades, or is she kind of like weak and the Ace of Spades has to do the lifting for her? But either way, Grimheart is ashamed to move in the front lines. Joker was distressed that Grimheart would have to act. When I read Joker's mind, she wanted desperately for Grimheart to not have to lay a finger on anything. However, Grimheart was still forced to act just now. Snow White turned her eyes towards Deluge's back, and Deluge looked towards Snow. Alright. There was no facial expression, though it seemed Deluge's lips were trembling slightly. It was probably Filaru's imagination. Back in the briefing room, Grimheart was forced to act. She's ashamed to act, yet she's not ashamed to come all the way here. It seems that because she's the top of her group, it's only fitting for her. That bastard, I want to beat her up so... Oi, weren't you listening? She can't be hurt. We froze the Shufflins in the hallways, but they still come back. Snow White once more looked at Deluge, who was looking at the body of the girl. Her lips were trembling no more. If Joker's still alive, then they'll always replenish. Haha, so we can always beat 'em up. You'd die before they would, you damn flower girl. What are they even here for, Pone? They just want to capture the man-made magical girls and delete any traces of the project. They also want to eliminate anyone who knows of the project. So we're just trapped. And then maniacal laughter. Filaru was lying in a sleeping bag that Snow White had pulled out of her 4D bag. It seems that her voice was quite faint, as if she wasn't there, as if she was just a third party. She was just depressed and in pain. Utakata had been stabbed with a spear. At that time her facial expression was burned into Filaru's eyes. It would have been horrifying to anyone. She lived the life of a freelancer. If she didn't make any mistakes, she would have survived. That's what she told her. She was the one who offered cooperation in order to win against the man-made magical girls. Then they fought against the man-made magical girls together. How'd something happen that happened yesterday feel like so long ago? Was Kafiria still okay? Filaru felt like she'd be fine even if she was captured by the enemy, as long as Kafiria wasn't the first to die. Though, now that she said it, she felt a bad feeling. Even now she felt it, but she hoped Kafiria was okay. Pain continued, so she licked the fruit. She felt some relief and closed her eyes. She wanted help. She wanted to get a new job again. She probably didn't even need it. She imagined herself working together with Utakata and Kafuria as freelancers. Unexpectedly, she thought it might be fun. While swinging around with Kafuria and Utakata, she could explore new places. Theirs was a job that someone needed to do. She wanted to be needed by someone. She wanted someone to say that she was someone talented. Use me. That was Snow White's voice. Neither was it Styler Mimi's or Marika Fukuroi's. Obviously not Fall's, and it wasn't Filaru's either. It was Princess Deluge's voice. Okay, that wasn't Snow White's voice. I think I said that wrong at the beginning of the sentence. Offer me to them, please. Their objective has always been us, so offer me. Use me to negotiate. I won't resist. I want to save everyone, and I would trade myself for that. And we'll see how this deal goes down, because we only have one chapter left. Let me grab some water. My throat is like really, really dry right now. Alright, so now we have the interlude. What's this? So much clutter. My apologies. So many things happen. There were 2 sets of futons on the floor. One of them had Ripple lying down on it, the other one was empty. There were also bandages, medicine, and a variety of other tools scattered on the table. Naturally, things would be cluttered. However, she wasn't lying that so many things had happened. Okay, so Ripple is possibly Stunt Chica. This girl's still sleeping, Yeah, she did a huge job. What about the girl sleeping over there? Oh, she still has a job to do. My, a hard worker. She really is. The old woman laughed with her toothless mouth as she walked down the stairs. The tea was cold, though despite its coolness it tasted delicious. Yet its delicacy healed her loneliness. The delicacy to heal loneliness always comes with warmth. The coolness of the tea was able to warm up her lonesome self. It wasn't just a physical warmth. She couldn't stop it. Frederica loved the girl's hair. It would be regrettable if she lost it, so she intervened. She regretted nothing about that. Just losing someone like her would be a huge loss. Not a loss to Frederica, but a loss to the world. That shine, that glossiness, that fragrance, that sparkle. Just losing something like that would be blasphemous. She won't allow it. However, Frederica will do as she's asked, and decided to return to her own grave. She had serious injuries, but was offered a lifeline after being saved by Frederica. However, she didn't do something helpful. What? Okay. She had serious injuries, but was offered a lifeline after being saved by Frederica. However, she didn't do something helpful. Alright? She didn't seem to want to be alive, meaning Frederica had done nothing to prevent the loss of that hair. All she told Frederica was a thank you, which wasn't enough, but how could Frederica refuse? Frederica loved the hair of magical girls, but also loved the magical girls themselves. She loved magical girls who had the desire to become ideal magical girls. She asked Frederica while trembling in fear if she could return to the place to save her already dying friends. At that moment, Frederica could see her as an ideal magical girl. Frederica had no right to stop an ideal magical girl. Not just Frederica, but no one had that right. She'll no longer intervene. If she was the ideal magical girl, then she will be the ideal magical girl. Whether she survives or not, whether she saves her friends or not, Frederica shouldn't interfere. That wouldn't be beautiful. Frederica drank her cold tea. Together with the loneliness of separating from her beautiful hair, there was also the feeling of satisfaction of sending out an ideal magical girl. Ripple continued to sleep. So, this is confusing. She pulled somebody through, and she's going to send that person back. So I wonder if she pulled Stunt Chica through to save her, and if she's going to put Stunt Chica back to see if she is the ideal magical girl who can help save her friends there. And that doesn't totally explain who she is, of course, but I'm hoping Stunt Chica is just Stunt Chica and that she's a possible ideal magical girl. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. Alright, but that's it for this one. I'm really, really excited. I really want to get into the final chapter and see how this goes. But either way, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there too. Tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my thoughts and live reaction and all that. Subscribe for more. Magical Girl Raising Project, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel or talk to you there. If you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord about this series or anything else, then just ask and I can give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and sorry that my voice has been dead for this one, but thank you, and I'll see you all next time.